They really takes a bit of, falsities, false personas, and exposes why they're false. Sometimes it's easy, sometimes you really got to pay attention, and that's the case with this one. These people are, I think, probably either breeders or fur farmers posing as a sanctuary, but it doesn't end there, sadly. Sadly, my biggest concern is that they're slowly poisoning some of these animals. When they don't get enough revenue by simply conning you, they have to create this wild ass story. And they are, trying to do that as proof, saying, look, here, it's sick. See, it's sick. We need money to take it to the vet. Well, you contribute money so that we have money to take it to the vet. And then finally, when it does die, they blame the veterinarian for, get this, losing the body. Yes, that's what I said.
So I've done several of these, and just, really, I wanted to do her for a long time, but I didn't really have any solid evidence to back up my claim, and so I felt like, even though I really wanted to say something, I never did, because all I had was, evidence that, okay, look at her eyes, look at the way, the expression on her face, look how beady-eyed and greedy and selfish and just downright nails on chalk evil they look. Then listen to her voice and how nails on chalk, you can hear even when she's trying to sound happy, it's just an evil, terrible, negative, very sinister energy. Her intentions are just, not there at all. It's one thing to have baby voice with any animal and, speak in a baby voice like that. That's not what I'm talking about. It's fine to do that. But you can just hear, especially with seeing the hidden truth in things, it's kind of what I'm all about. It's kind of exposing. You can just hear the tone of voice is not genuine. She is not actually enjoying this playing with this fox. She's not actually, being out of her own good heart doing this. Her energy was so profoundly it's somebody that you cannot trust further than you can throw them, and actually I wouldn't even trust her that far. The man that's usually filming, I think, I don't know too much about him, so I'm going to kind of leave him out of the picture, but she's the one really that you see on most of the posts. It's really, mostly her channel, I think. And it's really sad because these foxes come from ranches and homes where people didn't know what they were going to get into, didn't understand just how much trouble a fox can get themselves in, didn't understand they were not prepared to have them as a pet, or, like I said, claims that they come from ranches that they were spared. But they've got a ton of foxes here. Nearly all of them are ranch foxes. Every once in a while I think maybe they do take surrenders. But I don't trust that, this is actually a, quote, save a fox anything. I think it's, get myself publicity, give myself a false positive reputation to hide what I'm actually doing instead. I do not sense, and a lot of this is through visionary and things like that, but I do not sense this is an actual predominant rescue. Actually, I sense quite the opposite. This is a place that takes in foxes that are unwanted, yes. I mean, who wouldn't want a free fox for their fur farm? I do believe it's a fur farm / maybe even breeding, program for foxes that are being bred specifically for fur. Normally I don't think these kinds of wild things about just any ordinary wildlife or domestic wildlife like this rescue. And most time, my heart is warmed, and I feel that maybe there is hope in humanity. But despite how much I want to look at all these happy videos and think that that's the case, it's just all these red flags that you see. And before you even see any of the red flags, energy just, it doesn't feel right. It's like the calm before the storm. It just does not feel right. Something feels off, and then you see the red flags and you're like, wow, I was right. I wasn't just a little right, I was a lot right. She gets a lot of money, donations and things like that, because people think that it's legit. And anytime she's not getting enough money, this is the kind of stuff that she does. Let me read a post that she recently posted. I'm going to put it on screen so you can read it verbatim, but basically I'm just going to paraphrase as you can read it as I do this. So basically she's saying that one of their foxes you haven't heard from in a while because they abruptly died for absolutely no reason. They took the body to the vet after the fox died. Sorry, why? Why? Why do you take it to the vet after they die? The vet, you know, the only reason why maybe is to get a necropsy, okay? But they didn't say nothing about a necropsy. So I didn't see nothing that says that. All that I see is something talking about cremation. Says they lost the fox's ashes and they don't know where it... Okay, most vets will not do cremation. Most vets do not have a crematory. Most vets, much as what they will do is an autopsy. Then you have to go to a separate place to get an animal cremated. Why do I know this? Because we did this with our beloved dog many years ago. Vet will recommend somebody, but it's not like they have a cremation factory in the back. Veterinarians just most are not set up like that. So they're saying that the vet, they took it to the vet only to get it cremated, not to get a necropsy, because I don't see anything about that in there. Maybe I speed read it, and maybe I didn't find that, and maybe it does say something about it, but honestly, I don't see anything in there that says that. When shit starts not making any fucking sense, that's a red flag. They're saying to pray for answers, pray for them, you know, whatever. And they're probably going to set up some kind of GoFundMe about justice and this alone. And if they don't, then a lot of their followers that are gullible enough might feel bad and donate some money. All about publicity and money. The fox most definitely did die. But why did you not say what it died of? They don't just die randomly. This is my greatest, you know, probably accurate prediction that I have on how the fox died and why the fox died so abruptly. Some of this is kind of visionary stuff, clairvoyant stuff as to what you'd have to do to get actual answers. Because other than that, you know, there's no other way to find out what actually happened to the fox. What I sense just generally is that something's not right here. They killed the fox. They're the ones that killed it. And it was not an accident. I honestly think that these are the type of people, they're not just gonna humanely butcher something, they like to see things suffer. I think they poisoned it. I think this is why I think that. Because if you poison something, it takes a lot longer for them to die, it gives you more opportunities to film it. Make it look like they're just sick. Give actual, quote, evidence that they're sick for people to believe you. You know, there's no evidence, people are going to say, I don't believe you. So they probably have some kind of evidence filming the fox acting, looking, feeling sick. If you just slaughter it, you don't get that evidence now, do you? So I think they brutally, very painfully killed the fox through some kind of very painful poison. And that's how it died. Probably put it in a cookie or something, a little fox treat. You know. You don't turn your back on these kind of people and just, trust their word. When you see these kinds of red flags, you must assume the worst of them, because probably that is exactly who they really are. There's a fox on here called Finnegan Fox. I think that's what they gave the name. And he's one of the happiest foxes on there. Some of the foxes, you can see the look in their eyes. They do not trust her. They really don't trust her. And then a lot of the other foxes seem to be oblivious, like Finnegan. And he does this like little laugh or something that has gone viral. And you look at all these images and it's really easy to think that all these happy foxes, fat and happy foxes, are being treated the way that they're supposed to be treated. I'll tell you right now, someone who was abused as a child, that's what happened. Literally, what happened to me was that my family gave me all these toys and things to try and boost their reputation, so that anytime something happened, anytime I went to the hospital, anytime that I got near death from what they did to me, I got abused so severely many times that I almost didn't make it. And anytime that they were able to be linked, there's one time that I was shot, at by my father. There's another time that they injected me with something. They found the needles, they saw the bullet fragments in me, they saw the bullet hole. That barely missed my heart. 2 separate times, but at the end of the day, everybody that knows them is going to stick up for them, because they're going to say, well, that just can't be them, that can't be, They spoil the child rotten, or at least it seems like it. That's the whole point. Doing all these things that seem nice and kind, and then turning right back around and literally trying to kill the child. That was my entire life. They did just enough nice things to boost their reputation, but I never trusted them, because anytime they were being nice, I knew that it wasn't genuine. I knew something was wrong. I knew to expect pain immediately after. And really, most of the time, the only times that they were actually nice to me and didn't go abruptly back and forth between hurting me and being nice was when I was in public. That's the only time I could trust that they would continue to be nice to me without hurting me, is when I was in public. So from first-hand experience, I can see the red signs here. What they're doing behind closed doors is not what appears in the vlogs that they're making. It is quite the opposite. You see all these red flags like this, when animals start dying especially, and stuff like that, is their excuse? Oh, they died abruptly, we don't know why, we took them to the vet, and the vet legit lost, the vet lost the body? That just doesn't happen. I'm sorry, it's not believable. That is your explanation for why suddenly you stop making vlogs about that particular fox, and for why it died, and for why you don't have any information on how it died? That's highly suspicious. You know that they did something to that animal, and you know it wasn't good. And they didn't even try to lie. They're so arrogant. She is so fucking arrogant and selfish that she thinks that if she blames it on somebody else, people will actually believe her and feel sorry for her, and it'll work in her favour. She could have just lied in a lot more believable way, and maybe she wouldn't have gotten any, remorse or anything. It was what she should have said. She could have said, oh, well, she had cancer, we didn't know. Something like that. And maybe she wouldn't have gotten the same amount of attention and support. Saying that the veterinarian lost the entire body of a fox, not saying anything about a necropsy either. Why do you take it to a veterinarian again? To only get it turned to ash? No. The only thing a veterinarian is going to do is necropsy. They're not going to actually cremate it. Okay? There's so many levels of wrong here, and I've already talked about it, but I'm just saying it again because there's so many levels of wrong that you couldn't possibly be any more wrong. Every sentence, there's another layer to it, the lie. It's lie on top of lie on top of lie. And if you're really paying attention, and you're really reading this, hearing this, seeing this in full, see exactly what I'm talking about.